Hello, my name is Lanecia Rouse Tinsley, and welcome to this session of Art of the City, a virtual contemporary arts education program sponsored by the Center for Engaged Research and Collaborative Learning at Rice University, where we partner with Houston-based artists to provide insights into their creative process, work, and artistic journey to enhance attention and approaches to addressing the social, cultural, historical, and political dimensions of life lived in Houston. In this session, we're in conversation with Angela Alvarado Corson. Angela is a Houston-based artist with more than 20 years experience in large-scale installations and murals, as well as a strong background working with charcoal, oil, and acrylic painting. Her artistic investigation has recently included the creation of metal sculptures. Angela was raised in Bogota, Colombia, and has lived in the United States since 1995. After watching this conversation, we invite you to check out the art making prompt provided by Angela. The prompt is informed by Angela's own practice in hopes that it sparks your creativity and encourages you in your own exploration of contemporary social and political realities in your local context. Angela, welcome, and thank you for being a part of this conversation.
No, thanks to you for the invitation. I'm very excited and happy and honored to be part of this.
Wonderful. Well, I do have quite a few questions for you. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right on in with the first, where I would love to know, how did you get to the now? Like, what helped you to realize that you were an artist? Like, when did you realize that? And what has your artistic journey been like?
Art has been part of my life since I remember. After I finished high school, I want to study art. But my parents, they thought I can do that as a hobby, not as a career. So I went to study psychology, and I did it for 2 years, but then I changed. That wasn't me. So I changed. I moved to United States, and I started to take classes of art in any place I have a chance. And after a while, I start to painting murals in private homes and different schools around the city. It's one of my I'm very proud of that, just to be with the kids. And after that, I say maybe 7 years ago, I've been doing art very long, but 7 years ago, I decided to take art as a full-time job. I had my studio, and I used that studio not only for be there and be creative, but I use that as a showroom too. So where people can come in and see what I do and interact with me, maybe tell this story about a piece, where this came from, or whatever. So that's where I am now.
So I'm really drawn, thank you for sharing that. I'm drawn to the fact that you have, over your 20 years of art experience, explored so many different mediums. And you do it so well. Like, looking at your portfolio, you do it so well. And I am curious about ceramics. When did that enter into your practice? And what nurtured or sparked your curiosity towards ceramics?
Well, I start with painting. My background is painting, and oils and acrylics and watercolors. And one day I decided to take a class in a community college of ceramic, and I fall in love with clay. How can I express myself with another material, not just only with the painting. So for me, that was like a open door for me for 3D artwork. It's like you can touch now. Before the paintings, you can see it's more like I don't know. You don't feel like you want to touch a paint. But right. If you have a sculpture in ceramic or in another material, you can touch it. So that was the beginning for me in ceramic. And now I'm taking like you say, I'm discovering the working with metal, and it's another beautiful media. And I use metal as almost like ceramic. I like to create dents and manipulate the form, and like ceramic, like clay. So that's how I got to 3D.
So do the concepts, like what are you exploring in your work, and do the concepts change based upon the mediums that you're using? Like, are you exploring different things in your paintings than you do in, like, for instance, your ceramic work? And what are some of the concepts?
Well, I think my inspiration of my work comes from the feelings the feelings of the experience I have when I see something, when I hear somebody talking about some subjects, when I met somebody. So that's what gives me the inspiration to create my work.
Well, I was doing some reading about your work, and I read that you say, like, your work reflects a personal commitment to speaking about the position of, like, women in the family, society, and as human beings. Will you talk a bit about how and why and what that means to you?
I have to tell you this story about this. My art definitely changed completely, or the idea about art changed when I met this person. Her name is Consuelo Cordova. She was a victim of domestic violence. So when I saw her and her appearance, her movements, her smile, all that inspired me to create something better with more meaning. For me, it was like, okay, how can I tell people these things are happening in the world in a good way? I feel like I have this tool as art to put, so I say, okay, I can use this to tell people about what happened. So I start to create this series of paintings where women, they are all cover their faces just because society do it to us, or do we do it ourselves? And this is more based, this start with Consuelo, because I named that series Mask just because she was wearing a mask to cover her face, her scars. So that's when I thought to create this series. And this brought to other things. I have one of my babies, I can say my babies, because I create one piece called No One More ni una más. It's in ceramic. It's a 3D. It's an installation. And I feel like that the beginning was the paintings. And this is like the more like the finish of that concept. So that's how. And it's not just only about women. My work, like I said before, I'm very, my inspiration, comes from the feelings when I hear something, the injustice, and that I feel like I have to say something. I want to use my art as a way to express that, as what I feel. And when I do that, I feel like my goal is to show it to people. That's the most important thing, to have an audience. It's like the singer wants to sing for people. It's like the same art. You want somebody to see it, to criticize you, to have emotions when they see your art. So that's when my art changed. So that's why I create some things. But it's not all that. I have another pieces, then I do just because, like I say, I see the shapes of flowers, but have some meaning too. Everything we do have a meaning, no matter what it is.
How much does your story and like your experience being raised and born in Colombia and then transitioning to Houston in the US, how much of that informs your work, would you say?
Well, I think we always carry part of us, no matter if we move to a city. I came to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania first. So when I moved from Pittsburgh to Houston, I was carrying many things from there. It's the same thing. I was born and raised in Colombia, so I have that culture on me. Sometimes that comes out in my paintings, maybe the colorful or maybe the issues we live there. But I can't deny being part of that culture, even after living here for many years. And so it's going to be with me forever. And I feel like I'm going to show that in what I do.
You talked earlier about how a story or meeting someone, an encounter, a story in your life ended up sparking this new work for you. Do you find that often, that when you meet people or you experience a story, that it might end up kind of like sparking your work, like what you do in the studio? What happens outside informs what happens inside? Mm-hmm.
Yes. I feel any social event, political movement, or some things like that movement move my inspiration. Or like I say, I want to create something to tell them they are not alone. Like I'm part of that. Maybe it's my way to say I'm with you. Maybe somebody came and I'm talking with somebody and they tell me a story about their lives, and I like to create something with that. I grab some things from everywhere. That's, I don't know if it's good. Sometimes, well, they want you to have one line, to create one style, to be in this road so you can be recognized. And for me, it's more like I want to express something so I can use whatever I want. So that's, in the beginning, I was concerned about all that, but that's not my goal. Why? That's not my goal. My goal is to do what I want, to feel my soul with my art and touch people. That's what I want. I want to touch people with my art and make changes. Well, not change, make changes. It's not that. I'm not pretending with them one of my artwork, I'm going to change the world. But I can maybe start a conversation. Maybe somebody who see that go to home and start a conversation about this subject. They say, hey, I saw this artwork. It's like this, it's bad or whatever, or it's good, or make me feel like this. And that start the conversation. And if that change our perception of the problem of the subject I was touching or talking about, that can maybe help to make another change. Maybe a kid was listening and he started to think about different. So,
yeah. Thank you. And we will include your website and ways that people who are viewers can follow you and learn more about your work and maybe reach out to do a studio visit.
That's great.
Yes. Thank you so much